know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Very good evening to you and welcome to the desk here on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. A lot of issues around the country, from the east, west, north and south. But one pressing issue that is almost on every person's lip right now across the country is the issue around Rivers State and the suspension of the elected and executive governor of Rivers State. Well, joining me to look at the matters arising this evening is Charles Gold Nachi, and we'll be talking about all of this conversations that borders on Rivers State. But before we even talk about Rivers State, we'll take a look at the resolution of the Nigerian Senate and that of the House of Representatives, how they give a nod to the decision by the president to suspend the Rivers State governor and the deputy governor and that of the Rivers State National House of Assembly against all odds. Let's take a look at that video. When we come back, we will delve into the conversation. Please stay with us.
After the session, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, put the matter to a voice vote, with lawmakers overwhelmingly supporting the request. Announcing the decision, Akpabio says the Senate had exercised its powers under Section 305, subsection 2 of the Constitution to approve the President's proclamation. The upper chamber, relying on Section 11, subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, resolved to set up a joint committee to oversee the administration of Rivers State Legislature and a select group of eminent Nigerians to reconcile the warring parties in the state.
Conferred on it by Section 305, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and approve the proclamation of state of emergency declared by Mr. President in Rivers State of Nigeria. The Senate further directs that the declaration of the state of emergency stated in the proclamation document and the mandate of Mr. President to review, and hereby mandates the President to review and even to terminate the state of emergency at any given time, but not later than 6 months. The Senate further resolved that Section 11, subsection 4 be invoked, providing the National Assembly the authority to set up a joint ad hoc committee of both chambers to oversight the administration of Rivers State henceforth.
Earlier, The House of Representatives approved the declaration through a voice voting by the 243 members in attendance.
Hold on, honorable colleagues. You are saying that the president doesn't need to wait until the expiration of the 6 months before he can lift this suspension, right? That if by tomorrow Rivers State will wake up and everything is okay, he has the right to say, okay, the state of emergency should come to an end. So rather than just tying us to 6 months, you are saying at any given time, between the first day after the passage of this particular request, the president is at liberty to lift this suspension. Is that what you are saying? Okay. Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye. Those in support of this request from Mr. President as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it. Thank you very much.
President Bola Tinubu had on Tuesday declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, citing breakdown of law and order, while appointing retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete to administer the state in absence of Governor Fubara and the 27 lawmakers. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
All right, that was a very interesting report. But let me bring the conversation back to Charles Gold Nachi, even here in the studio. But first, you're welcome to the desk, Charles Gold Nachi.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here once again.
All right. You've listened to various arguments from lawyers saying that the president's decision to suspend a democratically elected governor was illegal. You've listened to a lot of political parties, opposition parties have come out. Even just recently, we saw El Rufai and that of Atiku Abubakar and some other persons coming out to condemn the act of the president. But in the recent development, the Nigerian Senate just gave a nod to the president's action and saying that that was the right step in the right direction, and as such, it was a welcome development. Looking at all of this, what do you make of this, even as we evolved in our political, our nascent political growth?
Well, thank you so much. Let me also appreciate our wonderful listeners for creating that opportunity to listen to this program. I think that what is happening in Rivers State and the action of Mr. President is very, very important and urgent in order to restore back peace in Rivers State. It may not be, the action of Mr. President may not be in line with our constitution. But I believe that Mr. President took that decision as a matter of urgency and as a matter of necessity in order to restore back peace in Rivers State. A whole lot of things have been happening since Simi Fubara took over the affairs of Rivers State, and he started having issues with his godfather, Mr. Wike. So if Mr. President, though he have taken the first step in the first place by calling the both parties together to break out peace with them, but by the end of the day, it couldn't work. So over the years, this crisis in Rivers State have been lingering without any form of solution. So I think that the step Mr. President have taken is a welcome development. Is needed in order to break up peace in the Rivers State affairs.
But come to think about it, President gave the reason for this quick intervention as due to the fact that there were a lot of bombings in Rivers State. But we saw just 2 bombings in Rivers State. Using that to just oppose with other part of the country, is that a sufficient ground to suspend a sitting governor, or there's more to this conversation?
Well, you say we just saw only 2 bombing,
which we don't know if it's human being that did the bombing,
Let me
or
tell you
it was other factors.
Mr. President don't need to wait until the whole Nigeria is bombed before he will take that drastic step he took. He don't need to wait until there will be 100 bombings taking place in Rivers State. before he will take that step. Rivers State is important to Nigeria. Rivers State is an oil producing state, and anything that has to do with the oil, anything that affect the oil of oil in Rivers State will affect our economy. So as a sitting president, he will not keep quiet and watch some miscreant, taking laws into their hands, bombing the refineries, and you expect Mr. President to keep quiet, or you expect him to wait until the whole place is being bombed before he will take a step? No. So what Mr. President did is a welcome development, is needed at this point in time in order to make peace in Rivers State.
Even though the process, although let's talk about the process seems to be very, you've mentioned that it is an urgent need. The president needed to intervene, but then the process seems very auspicious. It seems very illegitimate, because one would have expected the president to first of all submit a proposal to the National House of Assembly, and thereafter the House would deliberate, and then the president can now take a decision based on the resolution of the House of Assembly, just like in a near war situation. We didn't see that play out. Instead, the president has already taken out a decision, and we now saw the National Assembly sit. Doesn't this set a wrong precedent for our democratic growth?
Well, the truth is that, just like I said before in my opening statement, I said that the step Mr. President took may not be in line with our constitution, but there's what to call matter of urgency. Matter of urgency. There's what to call necessity. So Mr. President have to take that step in order to restore back peace in Rivers State. Don't forget that a day before Mr. President declared state of emergency, the State Assembly had were already on their way to impeach the state governor, which if Mr. President did not intervene, there will be more crisis in Rivers State through that impeachment. So Mr. President must have consulted. Don't forget that they didn't just took that decision alone. First of all, he had a security meeting with all the security chiefs, had meeting with some important personalities. So, and even some legal advisors. So they came together and they were able to advise Mr. President and say, this is what you need to do, irrespective that is not enshrined in our constitution. But as a matter of urgency, you need to take this step, because if you allow the State Assembly to proceed in impeaching Governor Fubara, don't forget that there were a lot of threats that if Fubara is being impeached, heaven will fall. This will happen. This will happen. So, having had all these things, all those threats, Mr. President has to take this decision. Instead of Fubara will be impeached, rather let me take it on myself to step into the crisis happening in Rivers State in order to bring two parties together and be able to make or broker peace among them. So the decision of Mr. President to declare state of emergency, I think, is needed at this point in time in order to make peace in Rivers State.
All right, so let's talk about the National Assembly. We expect to have more of a robust system where we have checks and balances in play. But what we saw just yesterday, it has not been, it doesn't spell out a checks and balance syndrome. Rather, we saw a situation whereby, like you watched the video, it says, when the Senate President asks, those in support say aye. We have the ayes. When the Speaker of the House of Representatives say, let those in support say aye. It was all a high affairs, the whole of yesterday. And of course, Nigerians are not happy. We expected to see an assembly that would have been able to challenge the status quo, through which the president was able to reach this conclusion. But looking at all of this, do you think that the National Assembly is afraid to stand up to the president, even as a matter of urgency?
Well, there's not like being afraid there. There's not like being afraid. the National Assembly members you may mention of, I think they are residents here in Nigeria. I think they are citizens, where they are legislating is here in Nigeria. I think over the years, they are aware of what have been happening in Rivers State. They are aware of crisis, political crisis going on in Rivers State. So they are aware of the State Assembly taking a step to impeach the governor. So they are aware of everything that is happening in Rivers State. So that's the reason why when Mr. President took that decision to declare state of emergency, then they said, knowing fully well of what have been happening in Rivers State, they don't need to stand a kind of to oppose the decision of Mr. President. Because they know if Mr. President did not take that decision, the next thing that will have happened will be more worse than the decision Mr. President have taken. So them agreeing in line or being in line with the decision of Mr. President is because they want peace in Rivers State.
Even though it seems that decision was taken after an iftar feast with the president. Of course, there was an iftar feast a day before the assembly seat with principal officers sat with the president, and they had an iftar, which is a Islamic break of fast, with the president, principal officers, and the next day, what transpired was that there was an OES member of National Assembly. You think this is the right way to go? Are we setting the right precedent for posterity to judge us fairly on?
I think I've said that what happened was what we call matter of necessity or matter of urgency.
So for posterity, are we setting the right precedent?
See, Mr. President need to take that decision.
So the House of Assembly too need to sit down with the president on an iftar, and probably we don't know what transpired behind closed doors. We can't say here.
Yeah,
but looking at all of this, you think we are setting the right precedent right now for what democratic growth?
Well, you know that according to Constitution says that Mr. President can declare state of emergency. After declaring state of emergency, 48 hours of declaring it, he should proceed by sending letter for total confirmation. That state of emergency will not be approved or will not take effect until the National Assembly must have, approved it. So that's why immediately he declared it. He declared it, but it has not started functioning.
Well, as soon as he declared it, we saw the military started taking over Rivers State, and we were wondering if Nigeria has become a militarized state already.
Yeah.
The military swift into action.
Yeah, they swift into action immediately, but they didn't start operating. Yeah.
So when they
positioned themselves. Yeah. What they did was to position themselves because an order had been sent forth. A decree has been made, but that decree has not been confirmed yet. So the National Assembly, they were in position to confirm.
But prior to when the National Assembly was to confirm, we saw the president swore in Ibas, even as the sole administrator, as the administrator of Rivers State. All of these things, does it mean we're setting what the precedents that we're setting for posterity?
It's part of the process.
You swear in.
Swearing in does not mean that you have to. Swearing in does not mean that you have started acting.
Without an approval from the Senate.
It's part
from the National House of Assembly.
What I'm talking about is urgency. Just like if you see snake in your house, you don't need to set up a committee before you can kill that snake. You came into your house, you met a snake inside your house. Who will come and say, let me first of all set up committee before I'll kill the snake? The first thing to do is to kill that snake before you can start, set up a committee, maybe on how to, or what to do with the snake, whether to bury the snake or to eat the snake. So, but first of all, you have to deal with the snake first. I think that is what Mr. President did. Mr. President took decisions. He swore in the administrator of Rivers State. But he didn't just start acting, not until the National Assembly have taken decision by approving it, confirming the decision of Mr. President. So after the confirmation, before we now hear that the sole administrator of Rivers State has arrived in Rivers State. He don't arrive in Rivers State immediately. after swearing, he did not arrive. So it was after it was after the National Assembly must have finished, approving the request of Mr. President before he arrived. I immediately arrived, and he started functioning immediately by calling, on a meeting, all the necessary people that are needed to give him the necessary information for him to be able to govern or to pilot the affairs of Rivers State.
So you are saying in turn that necessity gave rise to the president functioning in a near illegality scenario.
Very, very important.
You're saying that necessity gave rise to this.
If Mr. President did not take that step, don't forget, on Monday, immediately the State Assembly sent a letter to the governor for query, of a whole lot of things they accused him of that night. And that letter is a signal that impeachment, in fact, we call it impeachment process letter. So after the letter, the next thing that would have happened, nobody can tell. Nobody can tell what the situation of the people will find themselves. So immediately, the State Assembly sent for that letter. A night of that, the same night of that day, State Assembly sent for the letter. There was bombing of oil.
Pipeline?
Oil pipeline was bombed immediately. Just that night. So do you expect Mr. President to just sit and fold and say, until I hear more bombing of a pipeline before I'll take action? No. So that's why, even it was bombed on the night, in the morning too, we also heard of another bombing of another pipeline. So these things are the things that a kind of must have prepared Mr. President to call emergency meeting. And immediately called emergency meeting, he was advised. Don't forget that Mr. President had advisors. He had illegal advisors. Those people, they understand constitutions. They understand the constitution. They understand everything. And they understand that constitution made provision of matter of urgency, matter of necessity. I remember when the former president, Yar'Adua, died. Matter of urgency, matter of necessity was brought in place.
All right. So just before you continue, let's even look at, since you said matter of urgency, the Senate is supposed to have a two-third. The National Assembly in general is supposed to have a two-third, not a voice vote in this regard. But what we saw, like what the video you just watched right now, was a total voice vote. Those in support say aye, and those against say nay. All of this process, again, I'll begin to ask, is this setting the right precedent for our democracy at this point? If the Senate can't do what it's supposed to do, and you said it's a matter of necessity, the president is not doing what he's supposed to do as a matter of necessity, is Rivers State necessity more important than that of Maiduguri, that of Sokoto, where you have Lakurawa sect, even we have bandits in some part of the country that are almost taking over territories right now and expanding their scope, if you like to use that word, within these territories, terrorizing people in community. We've had sit at home in the southeastern part of Nigeria. That's almost a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor every Monday in the east. What is pressing in Rivers State that is so a matter of urgency that a decision must be taken and the processes should be violated for that decision? Why are we in a haste to make decision? Or what do you think make the president to be in a haste to make such a decision, even to suspend an elected governor in Rivers State and also the assembly in Rivers State? Don't you think that this is all to just ensure that some certain political individuals gain access to the political tussle and take advantage of it even in Rivers State?
Well, let me start by making a comment on what you say. You said the way, the manner National Assembly used to approve the letter sent,
emergency, yeah.
Yeah, the state of emergency. Now, National Assembly they understand the rule, they understand the game, they understand their rules, they understand how to carry out their function, their oversight function. So we can't be here to dictate for them how they should carry out their function. Maybe they must have agreed that as we enter into this plenary, we are not going to go through voting process. Maybe they may have other function to attend to.
Even if the constitution mandates them to go through that process,
they may have other function to attend to on that day. They must have decided that if we go through voting, the voting may delay us, to meet up with other affairs of the day. So them deciding to go through voice, I think voice vote is also part of their constitution. It's also part of their constitutional right. Voice voting. So when they choose
how do you get the 2/3 of the voice if voice voting? In this instance, you're supposed to have a 2/3.
How you get it is, if you listen to National Assembly when they are voting through their voice vote, you discover that no voice said nay. No voice. I watch it over and over. Let me see if there is any senator, anybody that will say nay or that will say it contrary to. You then discover that all of them unanimously they agreed with the decision of Mr. President of declaring state of emergency in Rivers State. So all of them were in total agreement with Mr. President.
I don't think that this is in error.
For me, I don't think that the step Mr. President has taken he took it in error. I don't think so. Because this step Mr. President have taken, watch out. That is what will bring lasting solution to Rivers State. The step Mr. President have taken will bring lasting solution in Rivers State. Because if you allow these two gladiators to keep fighting, the next thing we have had will be more worse than the decision Mr. President have taken. The next thing we have had will be more worse. So Mr. President stepping into the matter to stamp his authority as the chief and commander of armed forces of Nigeria. I think what he did should be commended. What he did should be appreciated. What he did is what has brought peace. It will bring peace in Rivers State. It will bring peace in Rivers State. Because number one, let me say something to you. Mr. President did not send ordinary person to go and be sole administrator. He sent a man who had been into military.
And he gave him a time frame.
He gave me a time frame.
There's no time frame for all we last time we checked. Yeah, there was no time frame. And there's no modalities for all of this.
Let me say something to you.
The aggrieved parties are still aggrieved.
Military, they have the way they operate. They have their unique way of operation. In so time, deliver this. They work according to the mandate. They work according to the assignment. So that's why Mr. President did not send ordinary civilian. He then sent a military man who understands the necessity.
A retired military man.
A retired military man who understands the necessity, who understands the urgency. Urgency, the necessity of returning back peace in Rivers State.
And you think that Ibogete Ibas will be able to deliver this mandate?
The man is a man that has a record. The man has record. He has been at the war front. The man has served in various capacities. So this man has a good record. So that's why in fact, we should commend Mr. President. I repeat, we should commend him for not sending an ordinary civilian, but sending a man who has been in battlefield, who understands what it means to restore back peace in a war environment.
It's Rivers State case. I keep asking this question. Is Rivers State case more crucial than other part of Nigeria where we have almost a near collapse situation? I've given you a case study of the north, a case study of the southeastern part of Nigeria. And of course, we've had why the pressing need for Rivers State. Is there something else? And that's on the one side. Two, there's this allegation and accusation to the former governor of Rivers State as being behind the storm in Rivers State. We've not heard the president come out to openly condemn that, because condemn him, although he has come out to have a media parley that, of course, some of the things that they do in Rivers State is not right. And you know, there's no smoke without a fire. Why don't the president, first of all, start from his own house by suspending or getting involved with his appointee, who tend to be the instrumentality for fueling some of the rifts that they have in Rivers State? Then we now be able to look at modalities to be able to address some of the concerns being raised by the assembly and that of the governor and the even other parties that are involved. Recall that the House of Assembly also were also at the point wanted to even suspend the Rivers State Chief Judge at that point. What was the accusation? Misconduct. What's the accusation on the governor? Misconduct. What's the accusation on the deputy governor? Misconduct. Is there more to this issue? Could it be that it is coming from the FCT and the president is one way or the other? Does he want to address it from its source?
Or keep him quiet? Well, the truth is that, I laugh when I see people pointing accusing finger on the FCT minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Though I don't know him in person, but I believe in justice, equity, and fairness. When people start accusing finger on the minister of FCT, that is the major cause of what is happening in Rivers State.
He has not denied it anyway. He has always come out to assert.
I laugh. Put yourself in the shoe of Mr. Wike. Put yourself in his shoe. Mr. President understand what Mr. Wike is going through. That's why when people say he is not cautioning his appointee, I laugh. Mr. President understands. Mr. Wike picked a nobody, a man that has no name, and he gave him a name. Mr. Wike stepped on foot, stepped on toes in order to make him governor of Rivers State. Mr. Wike single-handedly brought this man, Fubara, into a limelight and make him a governor. What do you expect after you must have invested so much? Maybe you have a brother, you invested so much, you open a shop for him, you took him to a place he had never been before, you brought him, you exposed him to higher level of life. And by the end of the day, he turned around to fight you. He turned around to abuse you. He turned around to say all manner of things against you. You as a human being, how will you feel? So let's put ourselves in the shoe of Mr. Wike. Mr. Wike is hot, and Mr. President understand that. Mr. Wike, every investor always want to have what to call return of investment. When you invest, when you have invested, you expected to reap from where you invested. Mr. President today is still reaping from his investment of all the people he have produced to be the governor of Rivers State. Suppose say that this is for godfatherism. My brother, fatherism must keep existing. Even in the Western world, there must be godfatherism. Nobody just came from nowhere and become something. Somebody must contribute. So, but for those who clap for those who abuse people, who made them what they are, I can't be party to it. And I think that is also the same thing Mr. President is trying to avoid. He don't want to be party to, he don't want to be among those who celebrate those people who abuse their godfather. Did Wike do worse to Amaechi? The question is, people always make reference of Mr. Amaechi. Mr. Amaechi did not make Wike governor. I repeat, Mr. Amaechi, in fact, Mr. Amaechi had his own candidate. Peter Side was his candidate. Peter Side was the candidate of Amaechi. So it was former President Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan, and his wife, President Jonathan. Both of them, brought Wike is now to challenge Amechi, the former governor of Rivers State. So there's no way you say that it was Amechi that made Wike governor. No, it was not him. It was not him. In fact, if it was easier possible for Amechi to install his own governor, you have done that. But it was not easier for him because of the overwhelming support from the electorate who gave their support to Mr. Wike. That was what made Wike to become governor. It was not from Amechi. It was not from Amechi. Now, having said that, Mr. President understands how he feel like. If you have been betrayed before, you understand. People who are saying all manner of things against Mr. Wike, many of them have not experienced betrayal before.
You think this is an act of betrayal from Governor Fubara?
See, to be honest with you, Mr. Wike is hot because he least expected that the man is going to hand over the affairs of Rivers State will turn around to become his nightmare.
But let's look at the Senate's decision right now and some of the happenings even in the House of Assembly right now. Let's x-ray it. If Wike was to be the governor, just recently we had 2 speakers emerge in Lagos State House of Assembly, and that almost threw the state to a state of comatose because the governor recognized almost the both of them until some certain individual had to intervene. We've had a similar situation, or even not more situation of what's going on right now in Ondo State, where banditry protest is almost going on like for the last couple of days in Ondo, in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Let's bring it back to the north. So I want to ask at this point, could it be that it's due to the fact that of the personality of Governor Fubara, his personality of being a gentleman, that's why some of this suspension and all of these rhetorics are being meted on him? Could it be?
It's not issue of being a gentleman. It's not an issue of being a gentleman here. It's issue of not doing the right thing. I repeat.
What would the right thing be?
It's an issue of not doing the right thing. Mr. Wike, in his word, he always says agreement is what? Agreement. There's something about Mr. Wike people don't know. If Mr. Wike is with you, he's with you. If he's not with you, he does not hide his feelings. He'll go straight and tell you, I'm not with you. If he's with you, just go and sleep. He's with you. Former governor of Ekiti State, Ajifa, you say, warned Mr. Fubara and said, no, your guy, no, Mr. Wike, don't ever provoke him. Don't ever get him angry because you go suffer more.
At the detriment of the state.
So, I expected Mr. Fubara to understand whom Wike is. He has worked with him for 8 years. He worked with him. So, he must have known whom Wike is. So, that should have made him, number one, to be loyal. That would have made him, at least, to keep to agreement he had. Keep to agreement he had. If you enter into agreement, or somebody tell you, say, see the role of the game. This and this and this and this and this, and you looked at it, you feel that you don't have capacity to do it, or you feel that it's against your conscience. What is right thing to do is to throw in the towel. I say, no, sir, I can't do it. Can you appoint another person in my place?
So let me get you correctly. You're saying at this point that agreement is agreement. Let's start from that. And Fubara is the sworn executive governor of the state, and probably has an XYZ agreement with former Governor Wike, which we are not privy to. And this agreement is at the detriment of the state. Are you saying that it should go ahead and implement such an agreement?
Well, we can't be here in the studio to decide that.
Yeah, we are not privy to
that
those
the agreement they made.
No, I'm just asking.
Is on the detriment of the Rivers people.
I'm just asking on the simple, on just a lighter note. If agreement is agreement and the agreement is at the detriment of the state, should we go ahead and implement this?
Let me start by saying this to you. When Fubara was sworn in, I overheard one of the statements Mr. Wike made. He told Fubara, he said, your commitment is to Rivers people. He said, you have nothing to be coming to Abuja to do. He said, your commitment should be to Rivers State. He said, these people who are giving you the mandate, say, work for them. That is to tell you that Mr. Wike cannot enter into agreement that will be at the detriment of the Rivers State or to the Rivers people. No, Mr. Wike have the interest of Rivers people in his heart more than the we that are outsiders have seen it. This is a man that former vice president called Mr. Project. He's called him Mr. Project. If you don't have interest of the people in your heart, why will you be able to develop your state to a level? You brought your state to a level where your state became like a kind of enviable place. Other states were just coming to emulate from what you are doing in Rivers State. So, Mr. President, Mr. Wike cannot enter into agreement with Mr. Fubara on something that will be at the detriment of Rivers people. No, I don't believe that. Because he told Fubara, he said, deliver. He said, deliver to Rivers. He said, your assignment is for Rivers people. He said, not in Abuja. That's why I overheard him say that. He said he don't sleep in Abuja for one day. He said all through his stay as a governor, he said he did not pass a night in Abuja. He said he don't pass a night. You see, he's my work, my assignment is on these people who are giving me this mandate. So there's no way Mr. Wike will give or will enter into agreement on something that we are against the Rivers people. But I think that what happens in Rivers State is what we call politics in place. Politics. You know, people are trying to reposition themselves for 2027. People are trying to reposition themselves. You know, it's like somebody, you know, colliding with your enemies to fight you and wrestle power from your hand. Somebody trying to, you know, fight with your enemies to wrestle power and make you to become a nobody in the state. Nobody will allow that.
But that, wouldn't that be if it's a father and son relationship, like you've said that Mr. Wike brought in Fubara, and Fubara ought to have been loyal, like Fayose told him to be, and this looks like a fiduciary relationship that they enjoyed over the years. If there's an issue to this magnitude, wouldn't it have been right for them to handle these issues amicably, for Wike to call Fubara and have a conversation with him and not try to impose his will on him, like as it seems right now? Because as if from many quarters, whispers that we hear, but don't want to rely on whispers, because as journalists we don't do that. But looking at all of this, for Fubara to say, hey, I can't go this way, it means that he has weighed the options. Wouldn't it have been in Wike's position to call him to order, okay, do this, just like what Odili did to Wike? He never imposed his will on Wike. Rather, he will call an advice. As an elder statesman, wouldn't that have been what should have been expected of Wike? Even the president taking this decision, wouldn't Wike have even gone to the president to speak to the president and say, oh, Mr. President, don't take a XYZ decision on my state. Look at it, it will affect the good people of Rivers State. Then let's look at a way to bring everybody back to the round table. Let's talk to ourselves as a family. Because he's an elder statesman, they wouldn't have gotten to this length, or don't you think so?
Well, saying that the issue between Mr. Wike and Fubara is like a father and son issue, that they should have come to a round table and discuss and settle. I believe that before the matter come up to public notice, they must have been handling it, you know, privately, without outsiders hearing it. So, but maybe because it have gotten to a level what we call breaking point, a level where they can't be able to amend it anymore. That's why the outsiders started hearing it. So they must have been working in making peace. Maybe, you know, a situation by which someone offend you today, he come and say, I'm sorry. He come back again, offend you. So, you know, he keep repeating it over and over and over and over again, you will come to a level where you will become angry and you start to retaliate. I think that should be what happened in between Wike and Fubara. So they must have been trying secretly to mend fences with each other, but it couldn't work before the thing came up to public notice. Now, secondly, Mr. President got the two gladiators and tried to, broker peace between them, tried to resolve the issue. But what happened? What happened? We had some people, and these people are the people who have put Mr. Fubara into this problem he finds himself today. Wrong advisors. Wrong advisors. People who went behind after Mr. President must have intervened. They start to tell Fubara, hey, why will I accept such agreement? Hey, such agreement is no good. Hey, they use black pen. They use red pen. Whether red or black or yellow, the most important thing is peace to be restored back in Rivers State. And him, Fubara, did you say, no, these people who are advising me, do they have the interest of Rivers State in mind? Or their plan is to, they are plotting for my downfall. So that by the end of the day, if I fall, they will laugh at me. So that they will now go back and, say to my godfather, see the man where he's saying now, don't you see? He's a failure. Don't you see he's a failure?
Naji, before our time is fast spent right now, I've been saying that it's time to go. Just before I let you go, do you think that this action by the National Assembly and that of the executive will further bring development as it starts right now to Rivers State, or it will further still the development of Rivers State?
To be honest with you, the decision of Mr. President and the National Assembly, to send the sole administrator to Rivers State to broker peace within the space of 6 months. To be honest with you, this action will restore back peace.
What
because
about
the man
sent
State is not an ordinary civilian.
What about development of Rivers State? As a sole administrator might not be able to commission projects.
I don't think so. He will carry out all the necessary oversight functions. He will carry out.
He will draft out budgets. He will implement the budget.
As I speak to you,
as it starts right now, he will become the executive. He will be the legislature.
As I speak to you,
he become uninterrupted umpire.
Money for the money that was withheld of Rivers people, Rivers State, have been released.
And he
confirmed it.
He's not accounting to anybody.
No, it's not true. That is not what Mr. President said. He has National Assembly to legislate for him. Any decision he wants to take, he will bring it to Mr. President and to National Assembly. They will be the one that will carry out the oversight functions for him. So if there is any kind of anything you want to do, you have to run to National Assembly. So it's not like Mr. President just sends somebody to just stand all alone. No, he's not standing all alone. So he will be monitored by National Assembly and by Mr. President.
Well, Mr. Charles Golden Nachi, we will continue to follow this conversation to see what's going on even in Rivers State. But this is how far we can go even this evening. I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today.
All right, viewers, this is how far we can go. Do remember that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle showing on your screen right now at Global TV NG. To be part of the conversation. Don't forget that you can also download the Global TV Nigerian app to also be updated with some of happenings around, even keep track of our daily broadcast here on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. Till the desk returns back to you again. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Enjoy the rest of your evening.